Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. Welcome to our show that's for you and about you. Those of you that work so stinking hard for your money, and you're ready for your money to start working harder for you right now. You want that freedom, cash flow, and prosperity today, not 30 or 40 years from now, but right now to live that life that you love, doing what you love with those that you love. But most importantly, guys, it's not about being rich. It's about living a rich life, about creating a life of meaning by creating impact in the lives of others. Because as you're freed up financially, you can do the same to liberate others as well. So guys, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for binging and sharing and creating that ripple effect in your lives today. As a reminder, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're not already on there right now, go subscribe to the Money Ripples with Chris Miles page, so you can get not just these podcasts, but there's also some bonus videos and little shorts that we put out there for you guys as well. That'll give you some good tidbits. So be sure to do that.
Chris Miles was able to retire twice by the time he was 39 years old, but he's not content to just enjoy his own financial freedom and peace of mind. Chris wants you to have your own ripple effect so you can live free today. He's not the financial advisor you expected. He's the anti-financial advisor you deserve. He's jumping behind the mic right now, ready to make waves. Here's Chris Miles.
All right, guys. So I got a special guest today that, again, you guys know I get pitched literally every day. I get podcast guests pitched to me multiple times a day, right? And this one I had to stop and pause on a little bit because although we've never met other than right now, Myra Oliver has a fascinating story. One, not only is she a Kentucky girl that at the age of 22 decided she wanted true freedom from debt and consumerism. She earned enough passive income as a hairstylist through saving and real estate investing, which we love to talk about in the show, right? She became a self-made millionaire and retired in her 30s. So very similar story to what we've talked about on this show. She spent several years in retirement before returning to the marketplace and building another real estate empire, owning a multiple Keller Williams realty franchises. Myra has dreamed of helping others and wrote the book Down Home Money, an enjoyable read in which she shares her practical strategies to build a passive income and achieving financial freedom. So Myra, welcome to our show.
Oh, Chris, thank you so much for having me. And wow, what an introduction.
Well, I mean, you wrote it, so it kind of helps, right?
But you're just the way you read that was just so fabulous. So thank you. You set me up for success.
Well, it was actually the introduction that got me, because at first, because, we talk about like Dave Ramsey stuff. And then I hear you got debt free. And I'm like, oh no, it better not be another Dave Ramsey like disciple. But I'm like, no, I can see there's a bigger picture here. You actually really are more aligned with what we talk about, because we do talk about wise stewardship on the show.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's kind of what helped you go from being kind of a hairstylist, which I've met many and even coached several of those, and they struggle so bad, and you be able to come and rise up out of that is something you just don't hear every day.
Well, I think that I am a firm believer. It's not how much money you make. It's how much money you keep and what you do with it. And I was a hairstylist because that was my God-given talent.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. I could have been anything I wanted to be because that's what my mom told me. When she raised me, her and my father always said, girl, go get it, whatever you want to be. And I was either going to be a veterinarian or a hairstylist. And I was like 8 years of school and all that debt, or 9 months and can pay it off pretty quick. And so I decided to do hair, and that was my God-given talent. And I just decided at a young age that money gives you options.
Yes.
And some people choose stuff. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to choose stuff, that I was going to take my money and be a great steward of my money and buy assets that would throw me off a passive income. Yeah. And I'm so grateful, Chris, that I learned that at a young age. And so now I'm on a mission to teach people that, because I think it's so important, because so many people go, well, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and I don't make tons of money, and that's why I'm not successful. But you and I both know there's more blue collar millionaires than the white collar. Right.
Yeah.
And it's through being great stewards of their money. So that's what I do. And that's what that's what Down Home Money is all about. It was a passion project. I had always wanted to write a book and tell my story because I didn't make a lot of money. I didn't make six figures. And what happened to me is that I just got really, really purposeful. And I was on a mission. I mean, I will tell you a crazy story is I had on my mirror in my bathroom every morning because I worked 12-hour days cutting hair. Because again, I knew where I was going. I had clarity around what I was going to do, and I just needed to take action. And so on my mirror, it said, I'm going to be a millionaire. And I mean, I had that on my mirror. I read that. I'd be brushing my teeth at 5 a.m. And again, at 10 o'clock at night when I get home, and I would be like, I'm going to be a millionaire. That's why I'm doing this. And you know what? It worked. It worked.
It's interesting because there's a lot of people that say like, I'm going to be a millionaire, right? Like, and that's like the big thing, like the thing they're trying to achieve. But I've noticed that usually they fall short because there's not something beyond just being a millionaire. It's not just about having the money. What was it for you? Like, what was that thing that not just drove you, but as Steve Jobs says, the vision pulls you towards it, right?
And it really did. It pulled me forward. And every day, just reciting that to myself, because for me, it wasn't about being a millionaire, really. It was what that if I had $1 million worth of real estate, I knew that I could go to the next level. So for me, I was doing $5 haircuts. Okay. So my husband was a policeman. And so for me, I was just like, I need to have $1 million worth of assets. And so it was real estate. I mean, I bought my first house at 20 years old. I still own that house, Chris.
Wow.
I paid $35,000 for that house in 1988. And it's now worth probably $225,000, $250,000. But more importantly, that house has made us over $300,000 in rental income.
Yeah.
So almost 10 times what I paid for the house.
Yeah.
And it's been rented this whole time, and we got it paid off. That was our whole thing, is that we bought the property. It took 13 years to get to financial freedom, to where we had a net of $5,000 a month coming in for our living expenses. So that was the turning point, that Rick could quit his job and I could sell my hair salon. So that was always our goal from the get-go. And it took 10 properties to do that. It took us about 10 properties. And then, and then we took off for 3 years. And honestly, we had a ball, because we'd been working ourselves to death, right, for the last 13, because Rick would do odd jobs, and all the money would go towards down payments on houses or paying houses off. And I have a high school education, so I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I'm going to tell you what, I am a student of money and a student of life. And I try to learn by the things I do wrong and reevaluate and regroup and go, change what I'm doing. Change does not bother me. I always say I'm a change agent, because I have no problem admitting, I screwed that up and that was horrible. So let's try something better, right? And a lot of people get so caught up in having to be right. Listen, I'm wrong all the time. I've learned a lot more from being wrong than I ever learned from being right.
That's so true. It's sadly something you have to bump your knees and stub your toe a few times before you finally get that lesson, don't you?
That's the truth. And so that's kind of just through feeling my way forward has helped me. After 3 years of not working, what happened is I was too young. I was really too young. And so I got my real estate license because I watched, I'm just being honest, I watched some lazy real estate agents. And I got my real estate license thinking, oh my gosh, I'll just represent us, because we were buying more properties, and we love real estate. And then, it's funny because then I got on that treadmill to success again. Unfortunately, it wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done, but it ended up being really smart. But at the time, I just started chasing success again. But I've learned so much from that, because time is finite. Money is infinite. We can all go make more money, but we'll never get this day back again. And, once you get a little older, you start really realizing that, and you're realizing you're trading your time for money. You're always trading your time for money if you're still working, like a job or whatever you're doing. Remember, whenever you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, and that's usually family members. So I mean, for me now today, I mean, I became a top agent in my market, and then I ended up owning a franchise, and then owned 3 franchises, and then in 2018, I just decided, you know what? I'm getting off of all that, and I've got people running businesses for me, and I just decided to write my book and do something different.
Yeah.
And now I have a YouTube channel, Down Home Money, and I teach passive income streams. I teach about real estate, and I teach about building a dividend portfolio, and that's been the funnest because real estate market right now has been so good that I'm selling some stuff. Yeah. And I'm diversifying, and I am a novice, but I'm learning dividend investing, and I got to tell you, I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah. Yeah. I talk about passive income a lot. In fact, even my shirt says that I love it, right?
Oh, I love that shirt. That's awesome. I love passive income.
I love passive income, right? It's well, and you learn so many different lessons early on, right? I mean, you learned that passive income was key, right? Especially as you're trying to get those 10 properties, get up to that $1 million mark, which I think is really cool because so many people will give me the excuse saying, oh, well, I'm just on such a tight budget. And it wasn't like you guys were in high paying professions, either you or your husband, right? So I admire that because you guys had to get scrappy. You had to really figure out how to do that.
Listen, I drove a car that didn't even have a passenger seat in it. Rick bought it at the auction. Oh, you're going to die, okay? And everybody at my hair salon, it's really amazing to me when you watch people and how they spend their money. And I'm always fascinated by it. No judgment, but fascinated by it. And the girls at my hair salon, they pull up in their brand new SUVs and all that, right? And I had this old Honda Civic that was used as a courier. And so it had no seats in it except the driver's seat. And I drove that forever, but I had no car payment. And it was really funny. People would always come in the office and they'd go into our hair salon, and they'd go, oh my gosh. They talked to one of the gals who always had the brand new car. I mean, she lived truly haircut to haircut. I mean, seriously. And she always had the new vehicles, and everybody would brag about it. And there's Myra, the owner of the hair salon. She's driving the piece of crap out front that just takes her from point A to point B because the car's not an asset. Still to this day, I drive a 6-year-old vehicle because a car's just not an asset. I rather my money make money. And I think when you start getting that mindset, then you get true freedom. I mean, really, when you let go and you don't care what anybody thinks, and you let go of the stuff and having the fancy clothes and the purse and all that, then you have the confidence because you got the money in the bank. I can buy whatever I want. I choose to buy assets that throw me off of passive income. Yeah. And, Gucci's not an asset for me. I don't own stock in Gucci. Gucci's not an asset. And neither, is purses and all the things that we all spend our hard-earned money on. And Starbucks, they don't pay me, although they pay me a dividend now. I do own a little stock in Starbucks. But back then, they never paying me a dividend. So why would I pay $5 for a cup of coffee when I can get one for 50 cents?
Right.
At home.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's amazing too, because you're kind of like what I felt pressure wise too, like being in the financial industry, right? People expect you to be flashy, and you're in the image industry. I mean, people are looking to you to look amazing, right? To look flashy, and you're doing the opposite. I'm not saying you look like a hobo or anything like that, right? But
get it. No, I totally get it. And I laugh because friends all the time, they call me the millionaire next door. They're like, you epitomize the millionaire next door. They just it drives them crazy, some of the things I do. I just bought a little car. I heard my husband speaking to a friend, and his friend was saying he was selling his car. And I said, how much do you want for it? My husband goes, I don't know, but Myra just asked, what do you want for it? And they were on the phone, and then Rick told me the price was $3,000 and 109,000 miles, a Kia Soul. And I go, hey, tell him I want it. I'm going to buy it. And Rick gets off the phone and goes, why are you buying that car? I go, because I'm spending $300 every time I go to Kentucky for a rent car. And it's hard to get rent cars, and I go there every other week. And I said, I'll spend $3,000. I know how well he maintained the vehicle. I'll go put it in my little condo in my garage, and I'll take an Uber to my condo instead of renting a car and driving those cars every week. And Rick started laughing. He goes, Oh my gosh, you're so funny. I go, that's a
That's
no-brainer.
business sense right there.
That's a no-brainer, right?
Yep.
So I think that's kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I pull up, I have about 220 agents in my Keller Williams brokerage there in Northern Kentucky.
Mhm.
And I pull up and I look at all the fancy cars. They're going to be like, what is she driving? It's just going to be hilarious. But you have to teach what you preach and
That's
live
right.
it. And I truly live it. I'm extremely authentic. You never have to worry. I think I got this shirt at Walmart and it's pretty cute.
Mhm.
I'll show you my shirt. It's pretty cute. Walmart. Yeah. See, I'm good. And I'll take the other $100 that some people spend on shirts and I'll put it I'll buy some dividend investments.
That's right. Exactly. Yep. I tell people all the time, like, I love my dream car. It's my Nissan Maxima. It's a little souped up, but hey, I'll take it,
Listen, you know what? Life is short, and why not spend the money on stuff that matters, right?
That's right.
Spend your money on things that matter, whether it's trips with your family. I spend good money on stuff for my family. I make sure that they are taken care of because I've been blessed. And I think you've got to always pay it forward.
I agree.
And so, and that was part of the reason I wrote the book, Chris, is because I've got a lot of nieces and nephews that are millennials. And because of social media and, there's just so much, gosh, you go to Instagram and everybody's flashing their new cars and the Lambo. And I just don't want them to get caught up in that because your self-worth should not be based on your net worth.
Absolutely.
Or what people perceive. Let's say it that way, to be. I just think it's important. And that's why I wrote the book, is I wanted them to see that I'm as ordinary as they come, but I've done some extraordinary things and they too can do that. And it doesn't matter what your career is. I coach people and I coach for free. I coach a lot of my own agents to help them to have wealth, with wealth building and stuff, because this is a passion project for me.
Yeah.
And I just want to make a difference. That's my next 50 years is going to be about making a difference. That's my goal. And so anyway, I coach them, and I have a client right now that I've been coaching for about 4 years that makes $50,000 a year. And she is getting ready to pay her house off, and she will be totally debt free. And not only debt free, but she's built some passive incomes that she could at any point quit her job. And I think that is the key. And she's in her 40s.
Yeah.
Now she gets to decide what her future is.
She's
not
work
somebody
optional now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that I think is so important. And then I got a real estate agent I coach who makes over $1 million a year. But here's the deal. She spends $1 million too. She looks good, drives good, has a great house. Okay. But I'm going to tell you, there's still a deficit there. So honestly, her net worth is less than the one that makes $50,000 a year. And I really want people to hear us when we say that, because it truly is how much money you keep and what you do with it. It's not how much money you make.
Yeah. That's what I tell people all the time. Net worth is worthless. Really, it is. If it's not actually creating some sort of income, like a regular, stable, predictable income for you, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at all how much money you have. Even if you have people that are cheap savers, right? They were like the Dave Ramsey poster children. They saved up $3 million in their mutual fund, and they say, but I have zero passive income. Like I'm asset rich and cash poor. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's got to be something that really turns into income for you.
Yeah. I was just on a call with my brother today. I was telling him some things he needed to buy, some stocks he needed to buy. Yeah. I said, these stocks are really doing well, and they're paying 8, 9, 10%, and they're paying it monthly.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he was like, and he goes, well, Myra, I don't have very much money. I said, how much money you got? He goes, I can put $500 in today. I said, great. You'll get to buy 100 shares. And I said, and that'll pay you about $60 a month. Let's go. And he goes, really? I go, yes. He's in my book. I share his story because he just started buying real estate. He's my older brother. And he just 2 years ago started buying real estate. And we've now got him up to $2,500 a month passive income.
That's great.
With less than $125,000 investment.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
That's pretty exciting. Right? And so I just think that, it's not, people think you got to have a lot of money to make money. And that's just not the case. You just got to get started. Right. So it can compound. In my book, I share that a gentleman, I cut his hair, and he was extremely successful. And he shared with me something that changed my life. And he told me I needed to open a retirement account. And at the time I was like, I'm 25 years old. But I did it, and I started doing $100 a month.
Mhm.
And you know what? After 10 years, there was about 150,000 in there, 60, I think it was 160,000 after 10 years.
Mhm.
After 20 years, I had in that account over $1 million. So if I
Mhm.
would have just blown my money and done whatever, but always did the consistent monthly investment based on what the stock market's done in the last 20 years, I had it in the S&P 500. I still would have been a millionaire, even despite, in spite of my own self, what I would have
Uh-huh.
done. Right. So it just shows that if you'll just do consistently,
Mhm.
monthly investments, the compounding effect can change your life, even if you do screw up and buy the new car, buy the new house,
Right.
but you always had that on your budget.
Mhm.
It just proves it.
It's true. Like it's really, I tell people all the time, boring is sexy, right?
That's right.
It's the boring things, the mundane things that seem like they don't matter. Like you're watching grass grow, but really it makes all the difference, doesn't it?
It does. And I think that just becoming educated and studying it, I think that we spend all this time going to college and studying for jobs and we don't spend any time studying about life. And
Mhm.
because it takes money to live. We all know we have to have it. So one thing we have to have is kind of like air and
Mhm.
water, right? And food.
Yeah,
So is money in today's times, right?
absolutely.
And so it's so important. Why are we not spending a little time and sitting down and evaluating where you are and where you want to go? Because, where you are today is a result of the decisions you made 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And where you're going to be is a result of the decisions you make today. So sit down and spend some time with that. I think because we feel like, what, I'm stuck in this job and this is how much money I make and this is all I qualify for,
Mhm.
poor pitiful me. And we just don't take the time when, guess what, if you'll just sit down and start allocating in a different direction, some of that money, like maybe you got to quit eating out so much and allocate
Mhm.
a little bit or quit doing whatever it is you're doing with your money, but just take the time and be diligent. You can change the trajectory. So I think it's just
Amen to
important. It's
that.
the little steps. Yeah.
Always. It's always the small, simple things that make great things happen. So
Yes, that's right.
awesome. Myra, appreciate your time today. This has been so good. If people want to get your book, Down Home Money, or they want to follow you, what's the best way they can do that?
It's Down Home Money, everything. Down Home Money, Instagram, Down Home Money, Facebook, Down Home Money, YouTube, and then Amazon, books on Amazon,
Mhm.
Down Home Money, A Simple Approach to Financial Freedom. And then also, I actually read it on Audible. So if you like
Ooh,
Southern accent, get my book. If you don't, get the paperback.
that's right. You read it in your own little voice,
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Well, appreciate it so much, Myra. This is such good information and such wisdom. Like this is the kind of stuff that we always love on the show. So thank you again for being generous with your time and with your knowledge.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate you having me. And thank you for letting me be able to make a difference.
Absolutely. And everybody else, you hear it's the same thing as always, right? You can be a hearer of the word or you can be a doer of it. It's about being a doer. Go and make this work in your life. Don't just hear it and say, that's a great idea, but do something about it. Do something to actually change your life. Because if you start to change your behaviors, then your life will change, as Myra had just so eloquently said. So everybody, go make a wonderful and prosperous week. And we'll see you later.
Visit us online at moneyripples.com for more resources to help you fix money leaks and get your money working harder for you now.